There is room for error in private revelation. I was surprised to find out that St. Catherine of Siena seems to have claimed at one point in time that the Virgin appeared to her and denied the Immaculate Conception. I didn't know that. And it says, it appears. Well, that didn't stop her from being canonized, so evidently it wasn't a big deal, and obviously there might have been some but again, it's private revelation. Maybe she misinterpreted something. She's human. Maybe she misinterpreted something that the Blessed Virgin Mary said to her. So
maybe it was another spirit.
Yes,
posing
maybe it was another spirit posing as the Blessed Virgin Mary. I've rattled on here, and there's been no discussion at all other than maybe a couple questions. Why don't we open the floor up and see what people have to say about this topic, or your experiences with it, or your frustrations, or whatever you choose to share with us. Anybody have any? You're on the bubble, Rich, since you appear to be the in-house expert.
I guess read some books. And,
Which book did you read, by the way? Do you remember the name?
it was something about
There are a lot of books on Christian
mysticism.
mysticism.
But it was explaining what it meant to get closer to God, okay, and to allow God to speak to you. And it's not always easy. The closer you get.
This author does not say this is easy. He just says that it's possible.
At first, it's really great because you say, "Oh, great! This feels, I'm really getting closer." And then as you get closer, at least that's what I was reading about. You lose your ego because you're union. You have a union with God.
Well, you can
And
see the possibilities,
you're
right?
gonna resist that for quite a while.
The ego would be a tremendous danger here,
John
I think.
Cross writes about that. It's not every
Dark Night of the Cross.
dark night of the cross.
Of the soul.
So
Have any of you read either Dark Night of the Cross or Spiritual Castle or any of the other books written by great mystics? They are not easy. St. John of the Cross is not easy reading. It's not something you pick up while you're watching the Redskins dominate the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. This coming Monday night at 8.
I was all
That revelation? Is that your revelation?
I would like to see that revealed. Yeah, I'm a Redskins fan. Yeah.
when I was first starting with this group many years ago, I started. It was happened to be at the time of when this group was forming. Mel Gibson had put out the movie The Passion of the Christ, which was based on Anne Catherine Emmerich's. I don't know if she's saint. She might be
Another
blessed.
mystic.
She's a
Yeah,
mystic,
Saint Anne
and she had
Catherine
these
Emmerich.
visions
Blessed
of
Anne
the
Catherine.
Lord and His suffering. And when I watched the movie, it moved me, and this experience with the guys was moving me, and it was my impetus. It drove me to say, I should probably read that book to get more even from the movie, and I did. And of course, and that led me to read some more. And then my eyes were open and said, "Oh, she's a mystic, and she suffered the stigmata and the wounds on her head from the crowning, and she had these visions, and she would, towards the end of her life, she would reiterate what she saw, and somebody was taking it down. She gave her insights into the Blessed Virgin Mary, the life of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Obviously, the life of Christ and His Passion in particular were pretty well documented with the movie, and so that was my own personal exposure to it. And then, for me, it stimulated a knowledge or a desire to know more about God. And I did it. I was growing with this group, and I was growing through the sacraments, and I was growing through reading and understanding of the faith, and through the eyes of some of the saints and mystics. And it's just, I don't know. It's that I think coming at it from all facets was, for me, and still is, honestly, helping me hopefully helping me in my continued growth in my faith.
Have you had any difficulties that you would share with us?
There was, I've primarily, I've read Mary of Agreda as well, in terms of their comprehension. I mean, there was, for me, in reading them, it was so vivid. Like they were. She described things in such detail. It's like, and I'm not like, the greatest. I have a little bit of a short attention span, so I need to get to the point. And sometimes like all this, like the color and this and that and the other, it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, it was a little bit overwhelming, and some of the stuff just went right past me. But what I just did get the sense that there, of the reality. I don't know. For me, it was just like, it's just it's true. It's real, and there is God is a real, and He wants to have a personal relationship with me, and He's calling me to do something for Him. And to have a relationship with Him, and to do something. I have to do something for Him with my life. And that's all I can know. That's all I know. So there's a lot of stuff that I just sort of skimmed past, that I didn't take in, that I didn't get, or I recognize that they had this great gift of this mystical revelation, but I know for me, I wasn't like, oh, but Mary of Greta said this, or Aunt Catherine Emmerich said that. All I just know, there was a couple things, like really simple takeaways for me. For instance, as I was reading Aunt Catherine Emmerich's The Passion of the Christ, I saw the movie. What I got from reading her, the next level down, was her description of how Christ was praying for everybody as He's suffering, while He's carrying the cross, while He's on the cross. The prayer that was going on, I love these people even though they're doing this to me. You didn't really see that in the movie, but it took me to a new level that I thought, wow, now that's what He's talking about. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And I really got a sense of that. And it was really more than just, I don't know, like I said, so knowing about these mystics do have this incredible keen insight, and that was revealed obviously to her, that she described that in great depth. Mm-hmm. And again, there was a lot of things she described, but that was one of those like little revelations that I took away from her writing in particular. That was just like, wow, that could you imagine? Like, and I'm visual. I saw the movie, and I was just like, it had such an impact on me visually. Like,
It's a pretty powerful film.
That's the suffering He endured for me. But then it was the whole new level of realizing, and she talked a lot about at the agony of the garden, the weight of the sin of mankind. Not just the fear of the physical suffering and the anxiety about it, but the weight of being separated from God, of entering into the sin and separating.
I read the same book, and that was one thing that struck me about if I remember correctly, she was talking about that. I always used to think of it as He knows what's coming, and so He's suffering from that. But I think she described it more as, no, He is looking at all the sins throughout time and sort of seeing it all, and just that vision was what was just crushing.
Exactly, and I never would have got that probably from reading Scripture, because it's so close. So these are some of the great insights that these mystics, I think, helped convey to me personally.
I think we have a great advantage living in the times we live in. Some of these mystics we're talking about, most of them lived during a time when communication was very difficult. You didn't just pick up a book. There were no books. You didn't just turn on a TV. Obviously there was no TV, but we are given this enormous resource we can get on a computer and order a book and read it, and that would be unimaginable years and years and years ago. So in a sense, God is maybe He's saying, well, I know it's going to be harder for you guys because you've got a lot more distractions, so I'm going to make it easy for you to find out about me in so many different ways. The ability to have perpetual adoration. The Blessed Virgin Mary had perpetual adoration, but not too many and the apostles did for 3 years. But then what? We can go to St. John Newman, or hopefully soon our own chapel, and be in or Mother Seton, and be in the presence of Christ. That is an unimaginable aid to this process. This book was written in 1978, so they had adoration obviously by then, but we have been gifted with a lot of ways to learn about this. I think that the biggest danger to this mystical journey is ego. I'm doing something nobody else is doing. So that's somehow, and it's subtle. I mean, the devil is so subtle by using our own weaknesses against us. And, everybody has their own weaknesses, but I can see ego being a big problem. I can see frustration. I don't know where I am. Nobody's telling me. It's probably not a bad idea, by the way, to have a spiritual director if you're really serious about this. There's so many ways to find one, I don't know where to start. I'm not Google, but I wouldn't Google spiritual director and dial one up. But, ask around, talk to people. There are good priests around that do this, nuns. But it should be somebody that's done this for a while and not somebody that is
There's a
trying
great
for
one
the
that's
first
going to
time.
be here talking to the ladies in a little while.
Who's that?
Father Dan.
Ah, if he's got the time to be a spiritual director, he's a spiritual director. Father
Well,
Dan,
he's closer by now.
Father Dan's a busy man. Where is he now, by the way? He's going to wind up in where?
He's in
St. Andrews.
St. Andrews.
Oh, okay. He is close, yeah. As opposed to Southern Maryland, yes.
Well, you're talking about the dangers, and I recall when going through the Total Consecration booklet, at some point, St. Louis de Montfort is saying that, well, he doesn't want sensible devotions. He doesn't want visions
That's
or
right.
anything. I think there is a danger where people are like, well, yeah, I haven't been mystical because I haven't had the ecstatic or the miraculous experience. And I think it was Teresa of Avila was actually kind of embarrassed about it. She was having these ecstatic
So was
experiences.
Padre Pio. Padre Pio did not seek to have the stigmata. He was humiliated. He was like, oh boy, I'm going to be in a circus now. And he, amazing.
And I mean, one of the things I've been trying off and on into this group is what we call the 1 minute inspiration, that the presence of God is working in our lives, and sort of to get, have people start to look for it. And and it doesn't always look nice. I mean, people are struggling, and it's like, oh, my life is a wreck. How can the Spirit be working in my life? And it's like, I'm working paycheck to paycheck, and it's, I'm worrying about rent some months. And if our life was grand, I mean, really, in some ways, that would inhibit us. I mean, we get caught up in that. But when you talk about being fearless and being open, it's not about how our life looks and how it looks like it's working out. I mean, in terms of unconditional love, I mean, that's, I'm not a parent, but I think the parents in here, they love their kids, and if they're screwing up, they still love them. And that's just kind of a faint shadow of what we can get. So, I mean, it is God is loving us, He's working in our lives, and then part of it is just being awake to it. I mean, when someone expresses their concern for Dr. Carhart in response to why are you doing this, I mean, that's not really the work of a human. That's letting the Spirit work through us. And I think it's a lot more, it's there, and we're not looking for it. I mean, we think we're looking for something, and what we're looking for, it's there in front of us, and we just don't realize it.
Maybe mysticism is another name for what we're all doing anyway. It's just that we need to maybe move into a higher gear. Or recognize that there are places to go we haven't even thought about yet in terms of spirituality. I mean, everybody here is spiritual. You wouldn't be here at this meeting. You wouldn't be trying to grow your prayer life and your awareness of Christ. But I think maybe what this is telling me is that, don't stop where you are. You can go further with this idea. You can get to know me better, and I'll help you, is what the Lord is saying. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So if it is really correct that for all eternity we will each remain rooted in a degree of prayer in which death has overtaken us. Sounds to me like there's nothing to lose to try to move to further in your prayer life and be more open and try to spend more time with the Lord and maybe just have more conversation with Him. You know.
I'm quite sure how to say this, but it's kind of an easy, constant attention to God. The amount of time we have during the day when we can just say, praise be to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? For a while there, for 3 months, I was just, if I just was in traffic, I would say that, or I would start saying, our Father, that help me out. Paying attention, and then letting God pay attention to you, being quiet and listening for God.
I like that, listening.
Lately, things have been really
Less talking, more listening.
But then it seems like that opens you up for the devil to really work on you.
Yeah, it's a noisy world. It takes a decision to love. That's one of the things that's at the core of the first of the 10 levels. You have to make that decision to love and sort of pre-position yourself to receive that divine relationship from God. And it seems like that's the core of the whole relationship. Obviously, it's a good prayer and a good prayer relationship with God requires that. To get into these 10 levels of mystic prayer, it seems like that's really at the foundation of it.
How many of you have discovered, I think a lot of you probably go to daily Mass. How many of you have discovered how you feel if you don't go to daily Mass for 3 or 4 days in a row? You feel different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finally reached a point where I have, something just drives me to it. I mean, I don't know whether it's guilt, Catholic guilt. I let the Lord down. I didn't go to Mass today. First of all, the thought has occurred to me, He's absolutely delighted to have you at daily Mass. And if you miss a day or two, I don't think it's a big deal. I think Christ is so happy to have you at daily Mass 1 day a week that if you go 2 or